the co-in charge of the Bharatiya Janata Party in the state of West Bengal, a man who's had an important role to play in the party's campaign in the state. This is the first time he actually was co-in charge of a state. The IT czar of the all-powerful IT cell of the Bharatiya Janata Party now joining us on this broadcast on a day where there's been a big digital campaign because of COVID playing itself out. Mr. Malviya, welcome. 84 leads for the Bharatiya Janata Party, 205 for the Trinamool Congress. Where do you think your party fell short in West Bengal, sir?
Well, Rahul, these are trends which certainly don't point to a very good situation for the BJP. But I was looking at the numbers, and there are approximately 90 seats where the BJP is trailing by a small margin. That is also true for the TMC in approximately 56 odd seats. But still, that leaves you with a gap of about 40 seats where the BJP is in the reckoning. And most of them happen to be from the BJP stronghold of Purulia, Bankura, Asansol, Bardhaman. So I guess we'll have to wait till 15 rounds are counted so that we know that this is a stable trend and not an aberration. But having said that, I want to make a very important point here. The BJP, which had 3 MLAs in the outgoing assembly, today is in the vicinity of about 100. That itself is a huge jump for the BJP, and if you look at the performance of the Congress or the left for that matter, they have been completely decimated. So going forward, it's very clear that Bengal's politics will be on 2 axes, and BJP will be an important pillar of it. It's just the beginning of a big ideological shift that the state of West Bengal has seen, and it is important because the BJP has never been in power here. In fact, we were not even considered in the running in the state. This election defines the tectonic shift.
You know, Amit Malviya, I would, to some extent, your argument would be accepted if the BJP was not trying to scale Mount Everest. You see, it appeared the BJP was claiming we are going to reach the summit, we are going to reach Mount Everest. Forget about Kanchenjunga. It appears that you're not even reaching the Sahyadris at the moment, clearly. You know, Prashant Kishore said you won't cross 100, you poo-pooed him. You said, ab ki baar 200 par. The problem is when you want to scale Everest and then end up at Sahyadri, that's why people are asking questions. Otherwise, you have every right to say there's a big change, tectonic change in Bengal's politics. That's right. But you haven't scaled the summit.
Rajdeep, the Sahyadri is a beautiful range, and I'm sure you visited it often to know what I'm saying.
Yes.
But it's the audacity of ambition that the BJP has displayed. When we want to go from 3 to 200, it tells you what we can hope to achieve. This ambition is what drives political parties. This ambition is what gives confidence to the people who vote for us. This ambition is what makes BJP today the natural party of governance. I'm quite sure you will appreciate that that is important in life, like in politics.
Absolutely, and you have every right to say audacity of ambition, but where do you think then, if you were to reflect, what was the gap that prevented Sahyadris from conquering Everest, or at least Kanchenjunga?
Well, I don't think there were gaps. I think that we are in close reckoning in several seats. I just gave you the number. There are about 90 seats where the BJP is trailing by small margins. These things happen in a state, particularly where you are a challenger and you're taking on the incumbent who has had more than 200 seats in the assembly. What you have to understand is that for the BJP to have come so far itself is a huge, huge achievement. And that by no means can be overlooked. The shift in the subaltern voting pattern in this state is also something very important. No more there is going to be an overarching narrative in the state of Bengal. There are going to be micro-identities and there are going to be aspirations that the political parties will have to necessarily fulfill, and the BJP is at the forefront of it. These are very, very important tectonic shifts that this election has brought to the table.
Mr. Malviya, no one can take away from the fact that to go from 3 to 84 is a huge achievement by itself. There is absolutely no dispute. But the other way to look at this result is that you were at 121 seats in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. From there, you've fallen 30 plus. Now, the hope was to go above where you were in the benchmark that you'd set in 2019. Where do you think that calculation went wrong? Because you were really looking seat by seat. You yourself have fought in West Bengal more than you fought in any other election. You've been on the ground in West Bengal for the last several months. Where do you think some of the internal calculations fell apart?
You know, Rahul, I like the way how for every other state election, the benchmark is the previous assembly election. But in case of West Bengal, and because it's the BJP, the benchmark is the Lok Sabha election. You know, this tendency to be unfair to the BJP is what really drives us most of the times. But let me still answer your question. The fact is that the dynamics of the assembly election and Lok Sabha election are completely different. The fact is that in these elections, like I pointed out to you, there are 90 seats in which the BJP right now is trailing with a small margin. And therefore, for you to put this question to me and ask me how well we have done over 2019 Lok Sabha performance is a bit unfair. But then I'm used to India Today being unfair to the BJP.
I want to intervene here to say that we have been consistently saying, and I've tweeted about it, the big loser today is the Congress party. You must stop this cherry picking. Please tell your IT cell, which you're in charge of, also not to do that. Because, to be honest, we have been saying repeatedly for the BJP at one level, it's a huge jump in Bengal. But at another level, it's a setback from the Lok Sabha. And that's also because you set this target of Ab Ki Baar 200 Par. You virtually wrote, there was a sense of euphoria that the BJP tried to create. You tried to shape the narrative as if you were conquering Bengal. That's where you've gone, that's why these questions are being asked. Why not concede that? Be a little humble in defeat. Forget the Congress. They have lost. They are the worst losers today. Concede it.
Actually, Rajdeep, anybody watching this show will realize that I am the more humble one and you are the one who's gloating. But that's something that you're entitled to, because clearly the BJP isn't doing well, so you have all the right to gloat about it.
Very unfair.
But let me come to the most substantive point that you raised.
Unfair.
Yeah, of course. I mean, being unfair is not a one-way street, right?
Okay.
If you are unfair to me, I can give it back to you as good. But let me come to the more substantive point here.
Yes.
Again, I'm repeating myself. You have to set yourself higher targets.
Sure.
You have to give hope to people. You have to tell people that you are here and you staked everything that you had. And that is how you win elections, and that is how you win the confidence of the people. You don't go by setting lower targets. And if people did not believe in our targets, they would not be unnerved. Mamata Banerjee ran the most vicious and negative campaign throughout because she wasn't sure of her prospects and her party's prospects. And that is the reality. Every journalist, including you, who visited West Bengal, would privately tell us that we are winning. Or naturally, you also thought that we were doing well. Now that the elections have gone the other way around, you can ask me these questions and I have to answer to you, the points that you make to me. But the reality is that we were and we still are in contention in the state of West Bengal. Till the last seat is counted and the EVMs are closed, the election is not over.
So you're not conceding. So you're not conceding.
No, but can I say...
You're not conceding at the moment.
Can I say, Mr. Malviya, you're explaining various facets of the election results. Can you explain the differences between the might of the BJP on social media and the presence on the ground in West Bengal in this election? Because on social media, on WhatsApp, your army was way ahead of what the Trinamool had to offer, especially in 2019 and through large parts of the campaign. They tried to build some kind of a social media army, but there's really no comparison. Does it show that, yes, social media amplification is important, but ultimately it's the result, it's the effort on the ground, and there the organizational heft of the BJP, still had some gap with the Trinamool, and that gap will hopefully, the BJP will have to work on it over the next 5 years, but that gap still remains.
Rahul, I have been repeatedly making this point that the BJP had 3 MLAs in the outgoing assembly. From there, we set ourselves the target to get to 200. Our organization geared up. Remember, 5 years ago, when we took on the challenge and Mr. Shah started Mission Bengal from Naxalbari, we didn't even have people to man our booths. from there to today, when 95% of our booths are manned and we have people on every booth and we have an organizational structure, we've come a long way. Politics is about the society as a whole moving from one position to another, and I think we've done a commendable job in Bengal in ensuring that the electorate sees us as an alternative. All elections are perhaps one or two election cycle. We had hoped that we will be able to get to our target in this election, and we've got pretty much in the range as far as vote share are concerned. Perhaps if we don't make it this time, we will get next time around to converting those seats also. But let me again tell you, we are the party in contention. Today, Bengal is going to be a bipolar polity, and the BJP is going to be a very strong axis of it. We have led to what could be defined as the tectonic ideological shift in the state of West Bengal. How the subalterns are voting has completely changed in West Bengal, and the BJP is responsible for it. You cannot overlook some of these big shifts that have happened in this election, and I think that is the defining story of these elections, irrespective of the numbers that we reach. And I'm again telling you, we'll have to wait till the EVMs are finally closed and every round and every vote is counted, because there are a lot of seats which are very close. I don't think we can call the election yet. No channel is doing it, and we certainly are not conceding the election just yet.
Can I ask you one small question, though, that one of the questions we've been raising is that of local level leadership, that the BJP perhaps lacked a local face to take on Mamata Banerjee. In hindsight, there was talk of Saurav Ganguly of bringing in a Bengali face. Do you think that if, in hindsight, if you still lose this election, that could have been the one area where Mamata Banerjee scored over you, a Bengali identity versus the so-called outsider identity? And the BJP needs to empower more local leaders to bridge that gap.
You know, Rajdeep, that's a very lazy and a convenient analysis. I don't know if you would have said the same thing about Sonia Gandhi if the Congress was in contention. The problem with the Congress is that they have a recognized face in Sonia Gandhi and they have nobody on the state. However, we have several chief ministers who are leaders in their own rights, and you missed that point. As far as Mamata Banerjee and Bengal is concerned, she is trailing from Nandigram. Do you realize that? What would be her moral authority to lead TMC and this government if she finally loses from Nandigram, even though her party wins? So, you know, it's very easy to get trapped into this analysis of local leadership and outside leadership. And why would national parties not have national leaders campaign in state elections? Why should the Prime Minister of India, who has member of parliaments from the state of West Bengal, coming to West Bengal and asking the electorate to support his party? The problem is that for far too long, journalists like yourself have got used to Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister and deifying Sonia Gandhi. So you can't believe that today BJP has national leadership which is strong enough, and then it has state satraps who are leaders in their own right.
So who was the state satrap in Bengal? Who was your state satrap in Bengal?
Oh, a lot of them. There is Dilip Ghosh, there is Subhendu Adhikari, there is Loket Chatterjee, there is Babul Supriyo, and the list is endless.
Three of whom are trailing at the moment, but that's another matter.
Haven't you attended their roadshows and rallies? Did you not follow the number of people who turned up for their programs?
Three of whom are trailing at the moment, but more seriously again, since you believe that this is a lazy argument, let me give you an argument which is a stronger one. Since 2019, the BJP's average decline in state elections is 12.5%. Bengal also, it's possible that you will get less votes than you got, in the Lok Sabha. Assam could be an exception, but by and large, when Mr. Modi is not on the ticket, the BJP is not getting the same traction. Is that a problem? This was a problem the Congress faced for years during the Indira years and eventually led to the Congress's defeat in several states. That the BJP will now need to start finding a way of doing politics which is not so Delhi-centric but state-centric. A Vijay Rupani clearly in Gujarat is nowhere near the stature of a Narendra Modi. So I'm asking you, is there a lesson somewhere that you need a different strategy for states compared to just putting in the artillery into a state election and saying we'll create a Hawa? The Hawa needs a ground game. It can't be fought on WhatsApp and social media alone.
Well, Rajdeep, let me answer this differently for you. I think you will not ask me this question if you accept that Prime Minister Modi today is the most popular leader in this country.
I
and
accept.
His stature is unparalleled.
I accept.
The moment you accept that, you
I
will
accept.
not ask me this question.
I accept that.
Yeah,
In fact,
let me
I
finish,
said
let
there
me
is
finish.
in fact, in
Let me
2019, I said there's a Timo factor. There is Modi only. But now, 2021, in a state election, is it enough to put all your eggs in Mr. Modi's basket?
Okay. In your opening question, you said that Assam is an exception. Why should Assam be an exception and why shouldn't it be the rule? We are winning Puducherry under the NDA ticket and the BJP is doing very well there. Prime Minister Modi campaigned in Puducherry and in Tamil Nadu as well. He went to Kerala also, where the BJP is seeing an increase in vote share and is likely to win more MLAs than what it won last time. So conveniently, you call Assam an exception and you want to call Bengal the rule. It doesn't work that way. Also, let me tell you, when you go in for a Lok Sabha election, like I said, the dynamics are different. People vote to elect the Prime Minister.
That's
when you go for assembly elections, people vote to elect a chief minister.
Or maybe
and therefore
that's the point.
voting pattern are different.
That's all I'm
Clearly,
saying.
If you notice in Odisha,
That's all I'm saying. That's the point. And Arvind Kejriwal
I mean,
won. That's I
but
wanted you to
Rajiv,
say that.
it-
I think that is a lesson that we learn from elections. That people are voting very differently in a state and a general election, increasingly so. And Bengal may well, to some extent, fit in with that pattern. That's all.
No, so can I ask another question, Mr. Malviya? When you look back in hindsight at these
Rajiv,
results, what
Rajiv.
do you think the BJP could have done different? You know, you've been part of all key meetings with the Home Minister, with the BJP President, with Kailash Vijayvargiya. What would you have liked to rework if you were, if you were doing the election again?
Look, Rahul, we are going to very closely analyze the election results. Once the numbers are out completely, the voting pattern is clear, we know how people have voted, we go through seats and make that assessment. Right now it would be too premature for me to make any comment on it, but we are going to do this and we are going to come back much stronger should we not make it this time. And I can promise you that we are here to stay in Bengal. BJP is going to be the most powerful alternate to the Trinamool, and the state is going to be bipolar going forward. And that is the big shift that this election has signaled for the state of Bengal.
By the way, Amit Malviya, since you've been in Bengal for so many weeks now, I hope when you come back to Delhi, you're going to bring some sondesh or misti doi for us. And
वो आपको पक्का खिलाएगा संदेश.
and he
Rajdeep,
promised me-
now you're trolling him back. He
No,
trolls
no.
you all the time. Now you're
I
trolling
hope
him.
he's going
You
to
think
bring
he'll bring
some
sandesh for you?
why not? Amit, are you going to bring me
You
nice
go
sondesh
check your
and
Twitter
misti doi
handle
or
after
not?
this.
Win or lose, I mean, we can look at the glass
He's
half full.
trolling you back, Amit.
No,
He's
no,
trolling you back.
three seats have become 84 is one way to look at this, which is certainly one way. The other is 121 seats have become 84. Either way, I hope you'll bring some mishti doi, sandesh, and you and I can have a nice conversation without trolling each other.
Rajdeep, if I get Sandesh and Misti Doi for anybody in Delhi, it'll certainly be you.
Arre,
Does
bas,
that make you
ye-
feel happy?
Done. That has made me happy. You made my day. And I know you
All right.
fought a very tough campaign. And I
But
think
he's been gracious.
No, he's
You know,
been
he's
gracious
come out
and he
in
made a good
defeat,
point. The audacity of ambition, nothing to be...
which is our line originally. It's good that he watches India Today, which is fantastic. That's all right. We appreciate that too. He trolls us, but he watches us, which is a good space to be in. But you fought hard. You know, you fought hard. You fought as much as you could. In the end, this day wasn't yours. But the BJP over the last 6-7 years has many more victories than it has defeats. They will take this in their chin. And as Amit Malviya says, it does recraft the election arithmetic of West Bengal from a complete left of all the parties that have won have been left of center in one way or the other. Now you've switched the political axis where the BJP becomes important.
One final question, Amit. While you've been gracious of, in a way of a possible impending defeat, who takes responsibility? This is a question we ask in the Congress, since you keep referring to the Congress and no one does. You know, the order doesn't change, it remains status quo. In the BJP, when you lose, say, a BR 2015, or now you've lost Jharkhand, Delhi, this time Bengal, if you're losing, who takes? Do you take moral responsibility, political responsibility? You are campaign co-charge, Kailash Vijayvargiya, Dilip Ghosh, Amit Shah, Prime Minister, who takes the responsibility?
Rajdeep, we fight as a team, we win as a team, and if we have setbacks, we take it as a team.
Okay, so that it's collective responsibility.
Thanks, Amit.
That's
Rajdeep's
right.
waiting for his Sandesh. We'll see when that happens. We'll post a picture if at all that happens. But you fought hard, you fought well. This day wasn't yours. Tough luck, and there will be another fight 5 years from now. So let's see how that goes. Thank you very much. I have good news for our viewers. We've just learned that Prashant Kishore will be joining us from the IPAC office in a few minutes from now. We're setting up our cameras.
He was telling me he wanted to make sure, he told me, that the BJP is less than 100. You see, that's been his target, because that's what he told you
It's a
first in
big
the
one.
interview, and
You know,
then